Chapter 2038 Reality and Illusion. After listening to Mel's story, Zhang Yi closed his eyes and thought for a long time. What is the meaning of the existence of this world? In this chaotic world of endless fighting, there has never been peace. Can people living in this place be happy? It was already dark, and Mel's story had been told for a long time, and the lights were lit outside. Mel suddenly stood up, smiled, and bowed to Zhang Yi, saying, "Sir, let's have dinner together." Zhang Yi thought for a while and said, "The things in the palace are not fireworks. Do you want to take me outside for a walk? I want to eat something that ordinary people eat." Mel blinked, but still nodded in agreement. She took Zhang Yi out of the palace and came to the street market of the royal city. At night, it was still very lively here. Lanterns had been hung in the tavern. The light of the magic lamp was very bright, and the streets were as bright as day, and there was no shadow. There were many pedestrians on the streets at night. Everyone was lively, and there was no sadness and hunger on their faces during the war. Zhang Yi suddenly asked Mel, "The war lasted for 3 years, and the people were displaced, but the royal city was peaceful. Is this scene common in the kingdom of Helen?" Mel said, "The war was only in a local area, and most of the victims in the war zone were transferred to a safe area. The economy of Helen has declined, but the problem of keeping warm can still be solved." Zhang Yi walked around the street for a long time and confirmed that Mel was not lying. Even in the war, ordinary people in this world can live a relatively stable life. Of course, there will be death due to the war, but it will not shake the foundation of this country. Zhang Yi bought something to eat at a roadside stall. The magic armor has a device to detect toxins, which can confirm that these foods are not harmful to the body. This is a rare food for Zhang Yi to eat from the outside world, but it tastes very good, which he can't eat in the human world. It's very sweet and steaming, and the body is warm after eating it. Zhang Yi put down the chopsticks in his hand, and suddenly, he took off the magic armor on his body, and they were gathered on the bracelet on Zhang Yi's left hand. Finally, he felt the night wind. The gentle temperature and gentle wind blew on his face. It was the long-lost natural and warm wind. It had been 3 years since he left. This feeling moved him to tears. "I didn't expect that I could feel a sense of tranquility in the world created by the demon god."
Zhang Yi said so.
Mel asked gently, "Do you think of your hometown?" Zhang Yi nodded, "Indeed." Then, he called Zhou Kuer and others out of the shadows. A large group of people appeared on the stall, which scared everyone. Mel was startled, but he quickly regained his composure and took out a gold coin and handed it to the boss. "Boss, we have reserved your stall today." After coming to the outside world, everyone felt what Zhang Yi felt. They greedily breathed the air outside. In their world, the air is dry and extremely cold. A little bit of strong breathing will cause respiratory injury. But the air here is so fresh and sweet. Compared to the world we live in, this is simply a paradise. Yang Xia looked around with an intoxicated look on her face. Meyer hurriedly said, "If you like, you can stay here forever. As long as the problem of the Demon King can be solved, the life here will definitely satisfy you." Zhang Yi did not answer, but raised his hand and asked the boss to serve a snack. "Princess Meyer." "Princess Meyer. Zhang Yi looked at her. "Excuse me, I hope to enjoy the present time with our companions. Can you step aside for a while?" Princess Meyer was a little speechless. She was a princess, and she came to you to be her guide, but you threw her away after using her? It was just like treating her as... Never mind, that word is not nice. The guards around Meyer also glared at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi was too lazy to even look at them. He was just a passerby, and he didn't need to care about the feelings of other people in this world, so he did what he wanted. Meyer took a deep breath, stood up politely, and said, "Then I wish you all a happy meal." Meyer left with the guards, and they got on the carriage and rushed back to the palace. It was called a palace, but it was actually just a larger tall building. Zhang Yi could go back by himself, and he had the key to the room. Fatty Su and Liang Yang sat together. He smelled the local specialties in front of him that he had never eaten before, licked his lips, blew on them twice, and then scooped a spoonful to Li Yangyang's mouth. Li Yangyang shyly lowered her head, reached out to gather her hair behind her ears, and then put her lips over and held the spoon. The lights on the street were bright, and all kinds of magic lights were no less than human neon lights. People came and went on the road, various goods were placed on the stalls and in the shops, and there were vendors calling passers-by to buy. Everything seemed so warm, just like the bustling pedestrian street in the human world before the end of the world. Uncle Yu and his friends ate while looking around, their eyes full of memories and envy. If possible, they also hope that the human world can return to the beauty of the past. "I have a guess in my heart," Zhang Yi said casually to everyone while eating. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi. They knew that Zhang Yi was not calling them out without a purpose, and there must be something important. Zhang Yi looked at everyone and said seriously, "The Yihan tribe's understanding of the Drux is wrong." Everyone showed strange expressions on their faces. Not long ago, they came into contact with the Yihan tribe and learned the truth about the entire universe and the life groups on this planet. In the Yihan tribe story, the Drux are beasts, an inferior race that only knows how to act on instinct. They were forced to hide by this barbaric monster, so they didn't have a good impression of the Drux. They described the Drux as having no merits other than eating, mating, and surviving, and being too stupid to communicate with the Creator. But today, everything he saw changed Zhang Yi's perception. At that time, I had a preconceived notion that Drucker was an irrational, brutal, and crazy god. But what I saw today made me start to reflect on one thing. He smiled and looked at everyone. In the eyes of the Yihan people, is there any race in this world that is not stupid? This sentence caused everyone to reflect. Fatty Sue rolled his eyes and recalled, when we first met the Yihan Knights in the Chernobyl wasteland, they just regarded other races of intelligent creatures as bugs. Of course, they have the same view of us. Chapter 2039, Seizing the Godhead. Zhou Qir nodded and said, if they didn't want to return to the ether, they might not even bother to contact us. Zhang Yi crossed his hands and said calmly, we instinctively brought in the emotions of the Yihan people. However, in fact, it is not our fault that we have desires and are not the favorites of the Creator. So, could it be that we have misunderstood the existence of the Drux? He looked at everything around him. This is the world created by Mammon. It can be seen that he is not a monster that only knows how to destroy. This is enough to make us think. Yang Xia curiously studied the food in this place. She tasted it in small bites and found it very interesting. It was a taste that could not be tasted in the outside world. So she took out a thermos and poured the food into it, intending to go back and study it carefully. After hearing Zhang Yi's words, she said casually, in fact, I think this place is much better than the frozen world outside. If this world is not fake, I want to live here. As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces changed subtly. The cool night breeze blew through the crowd, and they experienced the feeling of living in the outside world without wearing combat uniforms for the first time in a long time. Comfortable and pleasant environment. The wind is so clean and fresh, there is no pollution caused by modern industry, and there is no car exhaust. The temperature is pleasant. According to Mel, this place is like spring all year round. Only the North Country will have cold ice and snow, and there will be hot areas in the South. You can choose where to live according to your preferences. Helen Country will not prevent population migration. If it were not for considering that this is the world created by Mammon, everyone would instinctively resist Mammon in their hearts and really want to live in such a world. Zhang Yi looked up at the magic lights dotted above the stalls. The magic tools created by magic technology are as common as electrical appliances in the outside world and are very easy to use. You are right. This place looks much better than outside. Li Changgong also smiled and said, look, I also feel very comfortable here. Uncle Yu touched his chin, which had a neatly trimmed short beard. But if we don't go back, what about the others? The only way to end this battle is to seal Mammon. Otherwise, the Phantom Leader will never be killed, and then the Junjing Church and the aliens from other countries will all die here. Besides, there are still many of our friends in Tianhai City. This is what Uncle Yu thought of. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and smiled faintly. We still have to go back. He looked at Yang Xinxin. It was rare that Yang Xinxin did not express any opinion this time. He knew that Yang Xinxin must have something to say, but she was just observing his attitude. Xinxin, just say whatever you want to say. Yang Xinxin got Zhang Yi's consent, then put down the spoon in her hand, wiped the corner of her mouth, and said calmly, "Now I know why the Creator must destroy the Druckers. I have always suspected that the Druckers, as the third generation of humans, live in this world. Even if they attack the Ehin people frantically, it will not cause such great anger from the Creator. After all, the conquest and destruction of biological races are the laws of nature. And if the Druckers are really so stupid and have strong vitality, they are the better choice of observers. The Ehin people may not know, or they may have concealed some important information." Zhang Yi sat up straight, and everyone stared at Yang Xinxin, waiting for her conclusion. Li Changgong tilted his head, put his arms on the table, and looked at her carefully. Yang Xinxin only looked at Zhang Yi. The Drucks are not stupid. They have long discovered the existence of the Creator and know that the meaning of the birth of their race is predetermined. If they want to break the fate of being controlled by the Creator, they must break through the limitation of the third generation of humans. Zhang Yi frowned strangely. But how can we humans break the limitation of humans? Yang Xinxin nodded and said, "It's very simple. Just become a god." "Become a god?" Zhang Yi sighed. The legendary gods are just humans with powerful superpowers in ancient times. They will eventually perish in the long river of time. Yang Xinxin shook her head. "No, the gods I call are not the gods that humans understand in the general sense. They are the real Creator." She pointed to the sky. "The reason why the Drucks are so feared by the Creator is because they are trying to seize the godhood. But how to seize it? It's very simple. When I saw everything here, I finally understood." Yang Xinxin looked at everything around her. In this world, humans can also survive very normally, and even monsters have the same qualifications as humans to exist as an intelligent race. That is to become a creator god and create a brand new world. A world very similar to the material world, and it can also create races by itself. This is the true meaning of God. Yang Xinxin's remarks shocked everyone at the scene. Zhang Yi came back to his senses at the first time. However, the most important factor in shaping a living being is spiritual essence. The Druckers plundered the spirits that Kagago released into this world, and then invested them into their own world to create life. No wonder. This method is indeed unacceptable to the Creator. This is a complete act of stealing the Godhead. Yang Xinxin said, "It's more than that. If the humans on this planet possess the power of God, they would be smarter than God and create a more perfect world. As gods of higher dimensional creatures, how could their understanding of the material world be comparable to that of the Druckers who are born here?" She looked around and said, "Everything in this world depends on the word, balance. Although it seems that the civilization is not advanced and there are loopholes in the system, everything seems very balanced, and there will be no major deviations. People can live a life of plenty. However, the overdevelopment of technology will not cause people to lose the desire to reproduce like the Ehin people. The intelligent creatures in this world are divided into two races. Humans and monsters. No, strictly speaking, they are two different kinds of humans. War will make them feel a sense of crisis from the outside world. At the same time, it will give them a mission. People cannot be too idle. Even if they have enough food and can enjoy all the good things, they will eventually get tired of everything and stop reproducing or even end their own lives. They need love, friendship, honor, adventure, tension, and excitement. And there is no doubt that this war against the invasion of alien races can stimulate these emotions in their hearts. Let their personal values be maximized. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.